Now, joining us to discuss these latest topics, we welcome now the owner of Retrovision Media and our political commentator, Lee Bynes. A lot of controversy surrounding Jeff Sessions. We'll go right into him right away. First, no meeting with any Russians. Next, we hear there is meetings. And now we understand that you've got people on both sides of the aisle saying, here's a guy who's the Attorney General, sitting Attorney General, who can't remember meetings. How's he fit for office?
Well, you know what? That's what we're going to find out. I know this as far as a lot of the individuals who have been under investigation at the FBI or Robert Mueller have had their eye on, have had these revelations, or their memory seems to clear up after the news has reported that they found something that they missed. In Jeff Sessions' case, it was Papadopoulos who was caught lying and actually pleaded guilty to that he did have contact with the Russians. And once that revelation made itself open to everybody, Sessions had to remember that he was in the room when the conversations were being had. And not only did he happen to remember that, he also happened to remember that he pushed back on the idea that they were trying to suggest that Donald Trump should have a sit down with Vladimir Putin himself. So you know, looking forward, yeah, he's found himself in a world of trouble right now. It's going to be difficult for him to wiggle himself out of it, but he has some hope.
What's the worst that can come out of this for Jeff Sessions?
Well, the Senate could look at him a little more carefully. Bob Mueller could look at him a little more carefully, take the testimony that he's been providing to heart, and see where they could find some issues where he may have misled the investigators. But again, Jeff Sessions is in a particularly tenuous position because Donald Trump does not like him. That's obvious. Ever since he recused himself from the Russian investigation, leading to the firing of Comey, leading to the special counsel being brought on board, Robert Mueller, he's been in the doghouse. However, as much as Donald Trump despises this man because he's in a position where he can't control things, he could be made useful by sending him back to Alabama as a write-in candidate for to figure out a way to get rid of Roy Moore.
Which is possibly a long stretch. I want to bring this to
but light. It could happen, yes.
It could possibly happen. The main news that we were talking about, the Senate and their proposal to end Obamacare, rolling that in along with the tax bill. Now, we've seen bills roll together in Washington, D.C. This is not uncommon, but when they have these two major factors, a lot of people are saying, listen, one at a time.
Well, this is huge. But firstly, let's define the individual mandate. It was primarily designed by the Obama administration to figure out a way to bring universal health care into existence through the back door. We set up a program where everybody's required to kick in, and that supposedly would lower the cost for everybody. If you get rid of the individual mandate, a lot of folks, once they're no longer responsible or have a fee imposed on them for not buying in, they won't. We're talking about the healthiest, we're talking about the youngest. Young people, by their very nature, think that they're going to live forever. Nothing is going to go wrong, so they're willing to assume that risk. Republicans are able to capitalize on that view by telling them, why should you be forced to buy something that you don't want? So from the small view, yeah, that could save a lot of people a lot of money, but we know that down the line, those very people are going to find themselves utilizing the emergency room to get their care. We all know that that's the most expensive. Now, here's where this could be a huge gift to the Democrats. The Republicans feel that by wrapping these two items together in one piece of legislation, they could kind of like force Congress to vote it out. Voted out of existence. The Republicans have been doing, specifically Donald Trump has been doing everything he possibly could to sabotage Obamacare, by reducing the amount of money for advertising during open enrollment to give people an idea of, you know, what am I doing? How am I going to get this done? Reducing funding for the navigators who are hired to explain what they've done. When all of those things fell by the wayside during open enrollment, Obamacare is not dead, despite what the president said, because in Maine, during this last set of elections, I think the country spoke, not only in Maine, but in Virginia, New Jersey, and a lot of other places, that people really did want Obamacare. In fact, during open enrollment, there are record numbers of people signing up. The reason why the Republicans want to pare this down by doing it is to get rid of the mandate. Fewer people will enroll. If fewer people enroll, the program will start to collapse even faster. And that's the bottom line. The only problem is that the Democrats are standing in the way. They're going to let people know what's going on.
And this needs votes. Let's be honest.
It needs votes
on both sides. It needs votes on both sides of the aisle in order to be able. Well, actually, Republican majority needs to be able to pass it all the way through, since they have the majority. A lot of people saying in the Republican Party, we're still not sure whether or not we can actually have the numbers.
Well, you've got your Murkowski in Alaska. You've got John McCain, who's still a little weary, and you have, of course, Susan Collins in Maine, who may still look at these very, very important numbers: 10, 13, and 338 billion. The 10 is over a 10-year period. The CBO has determined that as many as 13 million people will lose their health care. In order for that to happen, the figures that you mentioned earlier, that $338 billion, that'll be saved because a lot of people who won't enroll in Obamacare won't be taking out of those federal subsidies. So when that happens, they could use that $338 billion to offset the cost of their tax plan. So in one piece of legislation, they can actually kill two birds with one stone. They can kill Obamacare, and they can offer tax cuts to the wealthiest among us.
What can we expect over the next couple of days?
I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of days, but I do know one thing, that the Democrats have been given a gift, because if they can't find a way to tie the destruction of Obamacare to being able to make tax cuts available to corporations and high income earning individuals, then they don't deserve to win.
Lee Bynes, that's why we bring you in. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
All righty. Listen, taking a quick break. Stay tuned. We got more Open coming up right after this.